really good conversation. Why not record it?
Why not? Well, if you guys are turning into our third podcast here, this is the Deep and Alaska Rants, and we are collaborating just to get out there and I don't know, have conversations. A lot of people are out early voting this time of year, and we got 2 days before the elections, and so we just want to get everybody's opinions out there, get our uneducated, unsophisticated ideas out in the stratosphere, and just come to a common sense conclusion on where we can find middle ground to, build out this future of us getting back in with Trump, getting
Yeah.
elected, the big steal that might happen again, right? I guess you can't say that. This is all for entertainment purposes, right? We're just out here having a good time, throwing out some entertainment, educational, go look it up, go research your facts kind of information. So,
Yep.
what'd you have on the docket today, bro? You had a fun week. You went and early voted.
Yeah. Well, I, well, we can definitely talk about my experience early voting. I think I texted you, like, what was the atmosphere where I was standing there. So, me and my wife, we wanted to go early vote. I think we went Monday, and then we got in, we saw the line. She's like, no, we can't do it because she had work in 30 minutes. I'm like, oh, dang it. Okay, cool.
2 hour
So
line, right? Yeah.
it was like a long line. I'm like, okay, that's fine. So we turn around. And the next day, I was on my way back from work. I called her. I'm like, hey, I want you to meet me at the place again. We need to vote today. We can't just not do it, even if there's a long line. She's like, okay, cool. So we drove up there. We couldn't find a parking spot. And it was probably twice as busier and longer the line than Monday. So I'm like, okay, we have to do this. We cannot not be here today. We can't just come back. Let's just do it. So we stood in the line, and it was on second or maybe third floor. As soon as we got out of the elevator, um, the line, that's where the line was basically, was ending, and we were the last people there. And from there on out, every time elevator would open, people would come in thinking they're at the end of the line. I'm like, nope, the line's all the way over there now. People are in the stairs. We were in the line for about hour and a half, I would say, easily. And where is this?
This is
This
in
is Ohio.
Ohio.
That's
Yeah, look at this line,
crazy. That
right? That's
is a
what I was saying.
long
If you grabbed
line.
footage, you should have grabbed footage of that when you were out walking, and then we could have played this original footage.
That's
Uh,
crazy. So I have a footage. What I'll do, I'll just add it in, the in our podcast or something. It was a long line, but it was not nearly long as
This,
this.
yeah, this is crazy. This has still
This
got
is
30 seconds left of it.
my goodness. But
And that's in Ohio, bro.
wow. Well, yeah, I mean, that's
I
pretty
mean,
wild.
that just gives me hope for election days, dog. Like, imagine the lines on election day. If this many people are already trying to early vote across the United States, where does that go? Uh, I mean,
Yeah.
where do we go on election day, bro? And I
I
mean,
mean, I definitely think this election year is very, very important. So, and people do realize that, and that's why they're going out and vote. What's funny, we were in the church a few days ago. We had Bible study, me and my wife, and we were leaving Bible study. I don't know what came in my mind, and I just made the comment. I'm like, imagine if all the Christians would go out and vote, we would win every election. If all the
almost.
Christians
It
just
would be. It would. You would have to put a lot of work on the other
a lot
side.
of work.
A lot of work,
Yeah,
right?
right.
I was just reading a poll. maybe I can find it here while we're dicking around. But a poll about that like 70% of Christians don't turn out to vote.
Yeah, yeah, it is pretty crazy because I then today our pastor, he had a really good message. He didn't pick any side. He didn't any political side. He had sermon. That sermon was related to on the slide that say, if you don't know how to vote, vote biblically, right? And he had I emailed him. I'm like, hey, could you send me all the slides and notes? I'm gonna possibly try to make a video tomorrow based off his notes and sermon, and I'm gonna name the video "Vote Biblically," right? And he had stats from 2020 election, and those stats were crazy because he had, I don't know the exact number, but basically he was saying that in a lot of the battlegrounds swing states, the how many Christians were there. I'm not, and he wasn't talking about just like people who are like, yeah, I'm just Christian. He was talking about evangelical Christian who actively go to church every week and they're in Bible studies, they're actively, involved in it. He was talking about those numbers, and the amount of those numbers didn't vote. It was like over a million, those kind of Christians didn't vote, and Biden won the election by 11,000 votes. And then he was talking about Georgia, and he was talking about
Yep.
Pennsylvania. And every single one of those states, he gave the numbers of how many evangelical Christians didn't vote, if the number was right here, and what made the election in favor of Biden was like a lot lower number. And I'm just thinking, like, imagine if all Christians do is just vote biblically, just vote on some of the issues that if you read Bible, you're like, no, those are not my values. My values are this, so I'm not gonna vote for this candidate, or I'm gonna vote for this candidate to make sure my Christian or biblical American true freedom values are stay where they are. I would go out and vote. And I think, at least in the last 2020 election, not a lot of Christians did that. And it could be so many reasons why that might have been the reason. I know it's been like a decade where mainstream media has made Trump to be this figure of hate. And, as Christians, we believe in loving everybody and accepting everybody. And, I agree with that, but it just a lot of Christians, a lot of America believe that lie, and they still believe that lie to the point that a lot of Christians are letting go of other values. They just think that Donald Trump is a figure of hate and he's a Hitler and a fascist, and they
Oh
either
yeah.
don't vote at all, or they
Orange man
just
bad.
or they just vote the other way. So I think this, especially with what's been happening with increasing rate of mutilation of children's biological parts, and men playing in women's sports, and a lot of these legal immigrations coming out and raping and killing women, and I feel like a lot of Christians have finally, maybe they're like, you know what, no, I think it's something needs to change and they need to go outward. So we'll see that. I have hope. I'm hopeful. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. I brought up Seth Dillon, Babylon B. I'll play the clip real quick, and you can
Yeah,
talk
go for it.
about this survey
Most
that
alarming
goes
that I
on.
saw recently was this study that came out from Barna. Did you guys see this study that showed, maybe some people have talked about it already, I'm not sure, but 32 million church-going Christians are unlikely to vote in this election.
That's
Let me say
wild.
that number again, 32 million. You know, the last election in 2020 was decided by thousands of votes, not millions of votes. This election is ours if Christians will do their duty and elect the right leadership.
That's pretty wild.
Okay, so he just said that on the 24th of this month, at a Turning Point USA rally.
Okay.
And
Yeah. And you say it was last month, this October?
yeah, uh,
Okay.
like earlier in the month of October,
Okay.
where he came out and said this, and then that was echoed right across the stratosphere of social media. And that's what, trying to wake Christians up is a really
Yeah.
hard thing to do. Because I brought this up in a space the other day where we were talking, and I was asking people, I said, yo, so you guys want the separation of this church, these values, these religions, right? And
Yeah.
but you guys also still want the church to vote, right? Like you guys want the church and the Christians to be part of politics.
Yeah.
And when you go look at the church, it's already sort of like a political structure. Okay, you got
Yeah.
the deacons, you got the elders, you got the pastor, right? And all
Yeah.
the information, all the finances, all the decisions would be ran through them like a board of directors for a company. Okay, so they kind of got like this political spectrum already, and then they run it like a corporation because of their non-tax status. Okay,
Yeah.
being able to talk politics. Where we just recently had a church up here that just brought a politician in to pray for him. Okay, and now that gets a lot of heat.
Yeah.
On the side that, oh, now they're pushing politics in church. We take away their tax status just
Yeah.
because they prayed for a politician, right? They never once, I don't think, said go vote for, the person or
For this
vice
person.
versa.
Yeah.
It was just, hey, we brought this guy in. He's a practicing Christian,
Yeah.
So at which point, like you see Kamala going into these black churches, okay?
Mm-hmm. She's doing that.
Bit rhetoric, okay? That's political in nature.
Yeah.
Okay, but then if a Republican candidate does the same thing and doesn't push any political rhetoric, but just talks about like the state of the country in a biblical point of view, now they're like, oh, he's preaching politics because it's like
Right.
it goes hand in hand, right? The social governance and the spiritual governance are hand in hand linked. So you can't really
Yeah.
talk about the problems of the nation and the problems of the nation without bringing in both sides of the discussion because
Yeah.
they want to take homelessness and all of the sheltered people and all the welfare people, right, and put them underneath the government when really like that was under the umbrella of the church for thousands of years,
For thousands of
or,
years. Yeah.
right? I don't know how Christianity and the church works like overseas, but that's sort of what I understand, right? I understand that
Yeah.
the church was there to help out with the homeless people, the disabled people, right? Make
Yeah.
sure they got food and water and shelter, at least to the best of their ability to provide, even if it was the lowest, part of the scale, right? Even in the Bible, it says that like don't harvest all of your field, leave like I think it's like 30% or right in a corner unharvested, so the people that were poor could or unfortunate people could come in there and work and get their own food at least. It wasn't
Yeah.
welfare. We didn't do the work for them. We didn't cut down the corn or the whatever and harvest it out. We just if here's some extra, if you guys need some, go get it. And now we're
Yeah.
on this, that has to go with like that religion church state where they're like, here, we'll help you do this, we'll get you this, but we're not just gonna maintain your bad habits, and your sinful nature or your laziness, to provide
Yeah.
for you to be comfortable, but we'll make sure that you're not gonna starve to death. Not gonna
Yeah.
freeze to death. You're gonna get the bare minimum help.
Yeah.
And I don't
No.
see that anymore.
No. And I think one of the things people do tend to forget is we have a religious freedom in our country, and probably the only country in the entire world that has the most religious freedom. What I mean by religious freedom is every religion in America has equal freedoms and religious liberty. But another thing we tend to forget is American Constitution was written on biblical values. And those biblical values is the reason why we have the most religious liberty in the entire world. And I feel like people tend to forget that and they slowly taking God away. You know, the very God that made America one of the, you know, greatest creative and the most freedom's righteous machine in the world. And this slowly taking it out from our schools, from, you know, our education system, from work, from social, just basic social places. Like I just 20 years ago, just 2 decades ago, let's just say, I would say a decade ago, the atmosphere that you had around people to talk about, like, hey, God bless you, you know, when somebody sneezes, or just asking what church you go to. Just, it was a decade and a half ago, right? That was like very normal thing to do. Now they made it to the point where it's almost inappropriate to even bring those subjects up, like, oh, what church you go to, or God bless you, I want to thank God. Um, it's just wild to me. Also, I have the uh, the speech my pastor did. I'm gonna see if I'm able to play it.
I love it. Bring it up.
Let me see. Okay, I think I can do it. So, share screen. Which screen? This one. Okay, you see it?
Yes, sir. Run it.
Oh, can you hear it? Oh,
You have the mute button still on the screen. Yep, I'm muted. Oh no, you got to turn it all the way up. Did you? Could you hear it?
yeah, I hear it. Do you hear it?
No. Did you hear mine?
Yeah, I heard yours.
Oh, okay.
That's so weird. It always does that.
Now, are you
Um,
playing it off of Riverside or are you playing it off of your screen? Because if you press play off your screen,
oh, wait, am I? I can do that?
yeah. So I don't ever run it off of Riverside. Whatever's playing in Riverside is just like mirroring your real screen. So then just play it off of the actual page it's on instead of from the Riverside.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Let's see.
And then you have to unmute it and do the same thing. Turn it up.
No? Do you hear that?
No.
Interesting. Okay, never mind. That's fine.
Yeah, that's why I've been messing around with Riverside more, just to figure out how to do all this stuff because I was used to Mevo and
Okay.
running it all off of our, back end and app system. And now that I'm trying to run Riverside and then learn OBS, I think it is,
Yeah, OBS pretty good.
just to be able to do more stuff because like right now it's like we're cool. We got like our AK rants in the bottom, right?
Yeah,
But the deep, right? But it's not even our actual logos. Those are just like the nicknames that Riverside gave us because that's what we named our account.
right.
Right, where
Yeah,
it would be cool to be able to bring up in the top screen over here or something, a
right.
different logo or a screen up, and then be able to share the clips is like that's like I can do that pretty easy with almost any clip now because
Okay.
I've practiced so much different test runs with Riverside to be able to do that, but it is a learning curve. It basically
It
killed my
is.
producer's job because my producer normally would come through here. I'd give him like 10 or 15 clips, and
Hmm.
so now he's been trying to figure out how to get OBS done better, like
Okay.
live stream it because that way we could just feed Riverside into OBS. OBS will multi-stream out everything else, because technically right now we could be doing a live podcast where you and me are in live video format on X, hold an X
Hmm.
space, right? And actually have people in the X space as we're running and recording everything from Riverside. You know what I mean? So Riverside would
Yeah.
just be running in the background, okay? And
We should
then
do that next time, definitely.
stream that onto X and then run X as an X. I think I'm not a technical dude. I'm still trying to figure out how all these people
Yeah.
are doing all this shit on X and you
Well,
know
I mean,
multi
should
streaming
we
platforms.
should I just start an X do you want to just start X spaces maybe on your side?
Yeah, we could do that. We could do a Sunday X Base with you. Getting the X Bases bigger, like, is a challenge when we just start off new hoster, like new
Yeah.
hosts start pushing out because like I've been going probably 2 weeks straight hard on X Bases, and I've got a
Hmm.
lot of bigger people and stuff that I can jump into, but
Yeah.
most of the big hosts are consistent. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
2 or 3 times a day are holding different spaces for 3 to 5, 6 hours. Like some of these guys are at work, dude, hosting X spaces. Get two or three or one or two co-hosts, right? And then the same like six panel speakers, and
Yeah.
then everybody else that comes on the five or six other listen or speakers are just there for building the conversation or asking questions, right? So
Yeah.
as we have a topic of today, which could have been like early elections, it's kind of hard to. Oh shit! My wife brought me freaking coffee down here because I asked her if I left mine upstairs, and she made me a fresh cup. Thank you, baby. Yeah,
That's amazing.
got my
Nice.
little fucking big ass bear
Oh,
like 3D, so it like sticks out.
oh wow. That's have you ever hunted a bear over there in Alaska?
Oh yeah, dog. I've killed everything. If it's
That's
got a
wild.
heartbeat at some point in its life, bro, I took its life.
You know what's funny? Oh, look at that. Deer.
We're a
So,
frontierman. Yeah, a fucking deer in my yard, bro. I'm shooting it.
well,
Because
funny you mentioned that. My brother-in-law and my father-in-law, they're actually in the backyard hunting right now. And I can see that deer right there. I wish I could just turn this around, but I can't. It's connected to the display. And it'd be wild to see them kill that deer alive, but I'm probably
oh,
gonna miss
bro,
it.
so
But
they got kill sheds up here because you're not allowed to shoot within the city. Hunt and stuff in certain municipalities, right?
really,
And I know dudes that got like kill sheds. Okay, where like
well,
their
well,
shed is like faced out towards the field, right?
well,
There's
I'm
like
glad.
weird.
I nobody's going to rat me out that somebody's in my backyard killing a deer right now.
Yeah, so well, yeah, they'll take moose and shit though, bro. So they literally have like and bears and like they'll put up like little bear feeding things or whatever. But they'll
Yeah,
they'll, they'll face their shed towards a field, which is just like a normal house shed, you know.
yeah.
But it would just be like a weird angle, like why would someone put a shed? Well, that's because they got like a harpoon in there, bro. They got a fucking
Hmm.
winch, so they'll go and like literally like kill the bear, kill the moose, right? Put the harpoon through it, and then just like tow it back into the garage, and it'll just right up under the roof where they can, gut everything, clean it out, trim it,
Yeah.
and nobody knows because you just pulled it right back into
You
your
you just
garage.
what is that one law in Alaska? I'm pretty sure it is in Alaska because I remember when I first got stationed up in Alaska during a briefing, they had mentioned that if you are driving and accidentally hit a moose, you you have to call like the Indians over there because
Oh
they
no
do
no
some
no!
kind of
They,
ceremony. Is that true?
we have a list of people that register to pick up roadkill. Okay,
Okay.
and
Okay.
so it's illegal for you to take home that moose if you killed it on the road with your car. Okay, you have to report it, and then they'll call the next person in and normally it's like a family in subsistence living or somebody that just needs to meet. They'll sign up for it, It got a truck and a trailer, but you don't know when you're going to get called. You just know, like, as you're watching the list, you'll be like, okay, I'm fifth on the list. So at any given time within the next, week to 2 months, I'm going to get a call. And you could live, and that's what's crazy. You know how big Alaska is, bro.
It's massive.
Do you like you physically have a mental understanding on how
Yes,
big it
I
is?
do. I
Okay.
do. I really
Right.
do.
So
Yes.
you could literally get the phone call and it could be like, all right, it's at mile marker, 986.
You
You
could
know
be in
what I mean?
Anchorage and they're like,
Right.
hey, you
And you
gotta
could
go
be
pick
in
it up
fucking
in
Homer.
Fairbanks.
Okay. 4 hours from Anchorage, 6 hours from where the moose got hit. Okay. And they're like, okay, if you want this moose, you can come get it. If you turn it down, you go to the back of the list.
Interesting.
Right? Like you can't just pick and choose like, oh, I'm gonna come grab this.
That's wild.
It
So
literally
basically what they're saying, if you get a deer and then you go back to the list. If they call you and you're like, no, I'm too far, you
yep,
still go back of the list.
go back to the list.
It's pretty, one of the
And I met a dude in Fairbanks that's about like 4.5 hours, 5 hours from Anchorage. All right. And I'm driving back middle of winter, January.
yeah,
It's like minus 25.
right.
Okay. And I'm driving down and I see this fucking just weird, shadow in the road, just like just a shadow that just looks like it, you couldn't tell it was a car. As you drove
Yeah.
up to it, you could tell it was a car, but it was like a weird block,
Hmm.
as you're driving up to it. About like as we get about 20 minutes closer to it, driving on the straightaway, I'm like, all right, damn, that's a car. It looks like they slid into the ditch, So I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna get out. Well, no, I get out there. He blocked up like half the road to like winch this moose by himself, that he drove all the way out 7 hours to come get this moose, right? Because they called him, but he didn't have anything prepared, no winches, nothing. And he was trying to use these little baby winches, and he would have been out there for like 15 hours or someone else would have came and helped him. But I
Yeah.
just went and helped him real quick, straightened out his truck, grab,
Yeah.
toe straps, and then you go put in the front of the car. Like I go pull my truck up into the front of his truck when he has
Right.
the trailer on the background. And then I just hooked the strap, wrapped it, on the side of his truck and just pulled the moose up on one side, hooked the strap up to the
Hmm.
other side of his truck, pulled it up, so you could literally just, winch it up there real quick. And I had that moose up there done in like 10 minutes, strapped down, got him out, bro. And he was out there for like 3 hours trying to wrench this shit up,
That's
dude.
crazy. Well,
But
good for
yeah,
you. That's amazing.
and that was just like some random dude.
Random
Never
dude.
seen him, yeah, in my life. Never will see him probably ever again in my life.
Probably never see
And
him again. Well, at this,
on the list, and
maybe
he was
you
like, I
will. I
could
mean,
have turned it down, but
Alaska
then
is
guess
so
what? I would have
popular.
just turned down this fat moose. You know what I mean? Because there's
Right.
probably 600 pounds of usable meat.
Massive.
600
Huge.
pounds is a lot of money to turn down. You know what I mean? When you look at the price per beef,
A lot.
that's $5,000-6,000 of meat product that you just turned. Well, whether it got hit by a car or not, I mean, most of that moose
Yeah.
meat's really good, unless I guess you'd say you get hit by a semi or some shit. You know what I mean? But
How
most of
long? Well, I guess if it's negative 25 degrees outside, this meat's gonna stay fine. But let's say it's summer and somebody hit a moose. How long that moose need stay out? How long that moose needs to be stay out to be considered as, oh, it's a bad meat now?
man, I say if you gutted it relatively quickly within, I'd say before the gases started building up, right? Because if you don't
Mm,
if you like a moose got died in nature and the gases would start filling it up and gets bloated,
yeah.
I would say you'd have to do that before the gases start setting. I really don't know because like sometimes we're out and a moose will get stuck. Like one year, dude, a moose got stuck in the brush because we shot it and it ran through the brush, and we spent like 3 hours chainsawing down brush to
It's
get to him.
crazy.
You know what I mean? Before we could even gut him. And that
Yeah.
was like August, September timeframe. You know what I mean? So it wasn't
Yeah.
warm, but it wasn't like cold out yet. right?
Yeah.
And so then we got him. Nothing. I mean, the meat was fine. We ate it. You know, it was good. Nothing hurt us. You know, but as far as like 6 or 7 hours without being gutted, or, you know, honestly, I don't know the answer to that question because I know that as soon as we get it gutted and you cut it up, you know, it's on ice and you know, until you get it into the butcher, or the butcher's gonna,
Yeah.
you know, do the rest, or you immediately are like, all right, I got my moose. You bring everything back, cut up hind quarter, and then you just spend the next, you know, week cutting shit up and freezing it, cutting shit up and freezing it while that shit's like
Mm,
in the cooler. You know what I mean? Or, you know, not iced, you know, not frozen, but, you know, just kept cool,
yeah.
right? So I would say that there's some leniency on the amount of time before the meat actually goes bad. You know,
Yeah.
I'm guessing. I don't know that answer because I never actually looked into it. If I go
Yeah.
cut, you know, go hunting, and the moose takes me, you know, 36 hours to get prepped up, you know, or whatever, and some of that meat was laying out, I guess I never even think about it. Just, you know, clean it, bag it, tag it, freeze dry it.
Yeah.
Well, we take the air, the freeze baggies, you know, zipper vacuum seal them, and then we freeze them. Or most of the time, most of the shit just gets grind up into hamburger, bro. You know,
Like
like
the
ground
sauce.
moose.
Okay.
So out
Mm,
of a moose, you know, you get 1,000 pound moose. I would say 600-700 pound of that is just ground.
yeah.
You know, it's not like you're getting, you know, ribs and steaks and these different cuts. Like you
Right.
can get steaks and different cuts of moose, right? But ribs, shit like that. But I would say the majority of it, and moose ribs are huge, dog. You can cut those up into like thirds. Still
They're,
have ribs.
I think people who never seen moose in their life, they have no idea how massive they are. They're huge.
Oh yeah, next level.
Would you would you say your favorite pizza place in Alaska is Moose's Tooth?
That's fucking funny you asked that. One, I was really surprised that came out of your mouth until I remembered that you lived up here and you went to the base. So obviously you would know our best pizza chain, which is definitely Moose Tooth, Bear's Tooth. I mean, as far as like a national noticed brand of it, right? You would
Yeah.
definitely say that that is well, when you look up X Moose on X from Alaska, you get absolutely nothing. But I do follow this chick named Alaska Tequila, and she had a moose picture on her property this morning, so I should be able to find it.
There's a famous video from I think I'd already left Alaska at this point. They were driving down, there's massive moose in the middle of the road and the divider. And in this it was just huge because there was a car coming from the other side, and now you see the moose in front of that car that's coming from the other side that's also slowed down. And you see this moose in front of the other car, and you're like, this is a massive moose because the other that car that was behind the moose was like an SUV, like a Honda CRV or something. Uh, if I felt like that was the true representation of how massive moose really are, and a lot of people don't know. I tell people this all the time whenever I was out in Alaska. If I would see like a black bear, I'd be okay. I'm like, whatever, he'll just run away. I wasn't worried. But if I would see a moose, I would always get worried because they come right at, they'll charge you, they'll come
Oh
right
yeah.
at you, and they will stomp you to death. And they're fast. They're so fast. There's only been one time I got when I was charged by a moose. It was pretty funny, but then he stopped. There was a car that, so I was coming. There was this moose in this little park, the opposite side of the road, and I stopped, and he looked at me, and he started charging towards me, and this car that was stopped spat up and started honking, and the moose got scared and head the other direction. That was my only interaction I had, a bad interaction with moose. It was pretty bad. But how was your? Are we looking at the moose? Okay, let's look at the moose.
Oh, I'm gonna back this up. This is like a minute fight, but we'll back this up real quick. I don't know if you can hear those footsteps, dude.
I do. I can hear him.
That's the gnarly part, bro. You know what I mean? Like that's like two cars crashing. That's how loud.
Yeah.
This was probably like 2 months ago, to be honest. But we've already had snow for a while now.
They're massive.
Look at them just get pushed down the street, dog.
I
Look at that. It's
know.
literally like two fucking cars, okay? And one car just slammed into the other car, and now he's just pushing the other car around, okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Running away. It's so.
Yeah, and that other moose probably took out the mailbox, that one mailbox before it cut off.
That's crazy.
100%.
So one of the things I really loved about Alaska, it is massive. I remember driving down from Anchorage to Fairbanks, even though it was fairly long drive, it never felt like a long drive because the whole drive is just beautiful.
Oh, this boy's about
So
to get down.
beautiful.
Look at that. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful sight picture, bro. Look at that. That's through his scope right there. Every time it flips back over, okay, that's what he's seeing through his scope. You know?
That's crazy.
Like, and then right about 43 seconds, I think he pulls the trigger. Yeah, mess this guy up. Come on, dinner. A little closer, baby. A little closer, baby. Yeah. Little do you know you're about to look good on the barbecue. Yes. Yeah, trot this way, baby. Close that distance. Pop. They didn't. They pulled it right before he pulled the trigger. So it was like 58 seconds. Yeah, not
About
40. That's funny. I seen that whole video
That's
though in real life, dude. Like that moose dropped so quick. Perfect shoulder execution right there, you know. And
Yeah.
look this water right there, you know, that's probably 3 feet deep. So a lot of people don't realize that most of the lakes in Alaska are relatively really shallow. You know, they're not really deep unless they're up next to like a cliffside.
Yeah.
You know, that might have a deep section in it, but for the most
Yeah.
part, man, these moose, you know, they can swim, but they just walk across this shit, dog.
So how was your experience when you went to vote?
I don't vote until election day, man, because I'm a patriot, bro. I believe in voting on election day, dude. I believe we should have a national holiday that everybody should get off of fucking work. You know, you can go to work afterwards, but you shouldn't
Yeah.
be penalized for sitting in a line for 2, 3, 5, 15 hours, bro. We should all be voting same day, same one vote, one election, same day voting, same day results.
I actually 100% agree with you.
You know, so if you can't go out, there's no excuses because I support early voting. Really, not as much absentee voting and
I don't agree with
mail-in
the absentee
balloting, I guess,
ballot.
because that's like a whole different, you know, a whole different poodle to fucking deal with, right?
Yeah.
So I think that same day voting, same day results to me is super important. And so, as much as I tell everybody to go early vote, and I've helped people go out early vote, and I told them that there's no excuses, they can't go early vote, right? There's nothing wrong with that. You know, I support that. I think that's great. But I'm an American practicing American tradition.
Yeah.
You know, not like they're not practicing, but they might just have different life circumstances that are coming up, holding them back from being able to, you know, go out and actually make sure that they can guarantee that they go vote on election day. Whereas
Right.
I will go sit outside in a fucking line with some coffee and a chair for, you know, 5, 10, 15 hours if I got to. You know?
What do you think Because there's a lot of speculation by a lot of people in the government, or even we're going to talk about Joe Rogan podcast later, but they arrested a guy who was planning a terrorist attack on the election day. Do you have any fears on what thing? What do you think it's a possibility that there could be a lot of unrest and violence and some sort of terrorist or cyber attacks on that day in 2 days?
Man, uh, well, that comes into another space that we were having the other day that sounded like a bunch of feds came in and were trying to get us to say some shit. You know, one, the DOD, right? Let's just be clear about this. Did have that what 5204 dash something, right? That just got released from the Department of Defense that says that they can shoot. You know, the U.S. military can now
I
shoot
saw that.
lethal force,
Yeah.
right? But not only that, that was like a 37-page document or some shit, right?
Hmm.
And that was only on like the first page, right? When you go down to the next couple pages, someone informed me, well, if you read the whole thing, so we were reading it the other day before we got cut off, before everybody thought this guy was a Fed, you know, because he was trying to, you know, keep going back to the same thing, like, oh, we got to fight back, you know, we got to fight back, right? Like, we got to
And this
fight.
guy was on one of your X spaces?
Yeah, right. Where I'm cool to talk about the information, right? Like
Right.
Alex Jones talks about this shit, and you know whether you want to say he's right or wrong, or a crazy dude, or the most informed dude, or a predictionist, or a crazy man with a tinfoil hat. Don't
Yeah.
give a shit. Okay,
Yeah.
90 fucking percent of the shit that comes out of that dude's mouth has all came true, if not more. You know,
Hmm.
so he gets penalized for saying one thing wrong.
Are you
Okay,
talking about Alex Jones?
yeah, right. So okay, cool. He says a lot of crazy shit, but everything he
Yeah.
says turns out to be real 10,
He's
15
pretty
years
on
later.
spot
And
for the
10,
most.
15 years later. So to me, if a guy like that is always predicting the future, you know, and saying this is what's going to happen in 10, 15 years, we all actually see, well, this actually happened. Well, maybe there's some, you know, truth to what he's saying, and maybe we should start recognizing this as, you know, an attack on America, right? So Alex
Yeah.
Jones got on this whole DOD thing, right, which brought awareness to it, but also brought that mentality of now Americans are going to fight back, you know, and now we're going to
Yeah.
bring tanks and we're going to do, bro. If the right side of the political party was going to fucking riot, okay, I'll tell you that we would have done it after the first assassination attempt of Trump's life. Okay,
Right.
if we wanted to, you know, if
If
we
you really
really
wanted to do
felt
something
like
like this.
yes, okay,
Yeah.
because I can only imagine what would have happened if Kamala or Biden were shot at, attempted, sitting in
Oh,
office, power presidents. Okay,
it
we'd
won't be a
be
day where
burning down
you,
right now.
yeah, exactly. They'll be burning
Even
down
if
the
they missed,
streets.
not even killed. Okay,
Yeah.
missed.
Yeah.
I
I
think
agree.
that if Trump would have gotten shot, completely different world we'd be living in right now.
What's funny, Trump got shot, and literally 2 days later, they all the news media, mainstream media, they literally brush it under the rug and oh, we don't want to talk about it.
And
And
now they don't talk about it at all. They don't
now it's
even
like
brought it
it's
up.
like it didn't even happen.
Yeah,
It's
where's
like
the
it didn't
investigation
happen.
to it?
And
Right,
there's
gone because
they're
they've been
they're
destroyed
still
all the
talking
evidence.
about January 6th, all that stuff, but they don't want to talk about the January 6th footage. As soon as you bring up the January 6th footage, they don't want to talk about it. They sweep it under a
This is
rug
why I
that.
thought he was a Fed. That's funny that you said that because this is why I thought he was a Fed, right? Because he kept pushing. Oh, they're taking all the information and and they're consolidating it into the Department of Defense. So
Yeah.
all of the information that comes from the CIA, this conversation we're having right now, is being recorded and it's getting filtered through some kind of algorithm. We're probably being flagged right now because we're talking about it. And the federal
Probably.
government is going to put somebody on here and says, "Yo, these two dumb motherfuckers did a podcast and they were saying some shit that happened to be true. You need to go watch the podcast and mark down and just see how much actual data they have, like facts.
How much stuff they have. Yeah.
You know, because if they're
Yeah.
just ranting, then go ahead and let them rant. And like we said at the
Yeah.
beginning of the show, bro, this is all for entertainment purposes, bro. We actually don't have any proof on any of this. We just, make this shit up. You know, COVID was real. It killed a bunch of people.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
We should all, listen to the government when it comes to telling us what to, say and not the spread of misinformation. So, when you hear us talking about this shit, just strictly entertainment purposes. Okay, folks?
Yeah, we're just two dudes, we're just having a conversation like a normal dude would just have a conversation over a beer. We just don't have a beer right now, which I would love.
Knock, 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 knock.
Yeah, I think we really, as a society, need to go back to the days where people can just have a conversation regardless of the other person have an opposite opinion. I feel like that's what really made us Americans, where because that's something you can't really do that in a lot of other countries. You can only talk about one thing, and we're headed towards that, and it really did happen especially with mainstream media, big tech only allowing one side of the story. And yeah, hold on, I'm gonna run use bathroom real quick.
Yeah, you're good.
I'll be right back.
I wonder if I can pull these up.
All right, I'm back.
Word, did I not save that? Get out of here. No, Giggles Island. I gotta look for that real quick.
All right. So, did you watch the Trump podcast with Joe Rogan?
Yeah, and the JD Vance.
Yes, I just finished that one today, and then Joe Rogan surprised us with coming out with John Fetterman podcast the day after. Did you end up watching that one?
Yeah, well, JD Vance got that podcast because Kamala turned it down.
Right. Oh, is that the reason why he got that podcast?
Yeah, so Joe Rogan reached out to Kamala over the weekend, right after they did
Right.
Trump podcast, and said, "Yo, come on the show, meet up with us." And Kamala was like, "Well, let's call in, okay, and we'll give you an hour." And Joe Rogan was like, "No, that's not how we run the show. Normally, you fly down to, I think he's in Austin, right?
Right.
You fly down to Austin. You come into the show, and we normally do a 3.5 hour show. Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm not going to change up how we have people on the show and stuff like that if you're not willing to fly down to the studio and have
The
a
Austin,
conversation
yeah.
with us. Then we're not interested in having you on the show at all because we're not going to do a call-in version of the Joe
So
Rogan.
Joe just wanted a real conversation, a real podcast like he has
Yeah, no
always
question.
done with over 2,000, plus podcast people. And
Yep.
he did not want it he didn't want it to be controlled. And here goes Kamala be like, no, I want to change the rules of your podcast. You have to fly to me, and I want this podcast to be controlled. And plus, I'm only going to give you 1 hour.
Yes.
With that, I don't know what I don't know what's more crazy, the fact that how disrespectful that is to the host of the podcast, or the part where like this is the kind of stuff that dictators do, but like no.
She couldn't even handle a Fox interview.
But yeah,
Okay, if she couldn't handle a Fox interview, how the fuck is she going to talk about 3 hours with Joe Rogan, bro?
no.
Like, you really have to tell me a really long fish story on that one, because I couldn't see her having a conversation with anybody for more than 30 minutes before she ran out of something she could talk about. Because if it
Did
doesn't
you
have to
see?
do with like controlling and getting power and what her puppet masters want her to do, bro, I don't think she's capable of a single original
She's
thought.
not. She's not. Did you see this video? I'm gonna send this video to you so you can play it. Maybe you can share the screen. I just saw this today and I was just like, this is crazy.
You sending it to me on text message?
Yeah, I texted it to you.
Perfect.
So well, it's one video. In the video you see both sides and they're 1 day apart.
Anybody here already voted? Anybody here already voted? Oh my goodness! That's great! Thank you! Thank you! Anybody here already voted? Oh my goodness!
That
That's
is
great!
crazy.
Thank you! Thank you! Anybody here already voted? Oh my goodness! That's great!
Now it's on replay. All right.
This is crazy. Like, are you telling me that she's not even authentic enough to not have her rallies be acted and prepped, the days before? Like, you're telling me that every single thing that comes out of that woman's mouth is prepped? That's insane.
Well, you seen Benny Johnson's video of him getting kicked out of the one of Kamala rallies over the weekend, right?
No, I did not. I might have missed that one.
Ooh, I got you right here. Yeah, so Benny went to a rally.
And he got kicked out because what? Because he was just Benny Johnson, or because he was a man?
Oh yeah, I'm just gonna pull it up right now.
Officer, they want you to leave. Why?
not even talking to anybody. Not making a
Walking
ruckus.
outside the event.
Not.
Let's go outside, please.
So what's going on, officer?
They want you to leave. Why? Doesn't matter why. They've asked you to leave.
What were we doing?
I don't know, sir. They just came and got me and asked me to escort you guys out.
I just heard invited to this event, so.
Oh, and they told me, they came and got me and said that you guys were uninvited at this event and wanted you all to leave.
You're uninvited.
I can't answer any more questions, but she's going to try to find out. So, guys, you guys were
So
recording. Did they
just
say
because Benny Johnson, if you have opposite views of her and you're an American citizen, you're not even invited at her rallies? Is that what you're
He
telling me?
did. He's saying, "Hey, I went through all the right. I didn't just sneak in here, right?
Right.
Because to get into a Kamala rally, there's obviously you got to do more identification process in it than to vote. You have to do like the third stage, fourth stage, fifth stage blood, urine, shit sample. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
to get into a Kamala rally, bro, you might as well get national security clearance, bro. By the time they get done investigating you, And so he's saying, "Hey, I got tickets. They let me in. I was invited. I wasn't doing anything other than standing in a corner, okay,
And observing.
literally recording. I wasn't talking during the event. I wasn't recording myself during the event. I was literally just recording the rally, okay."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, I'm not sure about recording or not." And he's like, "What? You don't see the other people in the video as he's leaving that are all recording also?" So it wasn't just him there recording. It was because Benny Johnson is not welcome at any Democratic rallies or functions.
It's just kind of like libs of
That's why it's
TikTok
important
account.
for us. That's why I tell everybody, it's important for us to do citizen journalism, right? Where
It is.
you can just show up, because even if people know me online, right, the odds are that any of these politicians or fundraisers or people that are sitting on these boards have a clue of who I am,
Right.
right? And they're not going to have any understanding of when you go up and talk to them, or just sit in a room to film something to, have verification that this meeting or board session or anything happened. You
Right.
can make such a big difference. Look at, what Louder and Crowder does with their undercover team. James O'Keefe, all the hundreds of people under him that are doing the same work, right? Lives
Yeah.
with TikTok under, doing the same shit. All these people are making a huge difference, and they're just nobodies. They're just people that were like, well, shit, I should do something. I should
Right.
fight back against this.
Yeah.
And, that's where we're at.
It reminds me of the account Libs of TikTok. That account, I feel like, has brought some of the weirdest stuff that the left does into shine. And what's her name? Shaya, I think. And she's not even altering any of the information. All she was doing, she would just repost the things that the crazy left people are posting. All she was doing, just reposting them onto her page without altering any of the information. And the amount of hate she's getting, all because the left is being exposed.
Yeah.
It's just pretty wild to me.
No, that's 100% wild, bro. It's crazy when you think about how much influence they have on the media, the education system. It really does blow my fucking mind sometimes.
Yeah.
When I'm sitting here like, all right, I just want to live in a Christian view, world.
Yeah.
Okay, why can't we all just get along? Why can't we all just obey these simple people want to bitch about the 10 commandments. Okay,
Yeah.
what commandment don't you like? Okay, if we take out, let's say they want to worship something else. Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine. Let's take out the idol part. Go to hell if you want to go to hell, bro.
Yeah.
As you have the freedom of choice, you know what I mean? Go practice your freedom of choice. Okay, so I can say, all right,
Right.
let's scrub that out. Now we're down to 9 commandments, right? I think that you could literally make a list of shit. That's pretty simple to understand, like the 10 commandments, of 7 golden rules that you could follow. Okay, that everybody on the planet could get behind.
Yeah.
that basically would cover every aspect of shit. You know what I mean? Don't cheat, don't steal, don't murder, don't beat up, don't, like we could use bigger words that, umbrellaed more, stuff into it, right? But
Basically, all the things that the left doesn't want anyone to get prosecuted too.
yeah, they don't because anything they don't want them to get prosecuted for, it's what they practice right now as a religion, right?
Yeah.
So they're literally practicing this cult-like religion
It 100%
and
is a religion.
openly. Okay, and then people that will see this will be like, "Oh, you guys are crazy conspiracy theorists," like
Yeah.
Bohemian Grove, 10 foil hat wearing motherfuckers.
I mean, that thing is the Bohemian Grove was so real, and I feel
they
like
got video of it.
they literally have a video of it, and I feel like that's one of the reasons why all the biggest elites of the world went after Alex Jones, because he exposed them. And I don't know whose video is it. One of the guys who's in the Bohemian Grove, somebody went up and tried to interview the guy, and this guy got so pissed off that Alex did that, and he started to be like, "Oh, it's a private event, private thing. No outsiders have any say or what we do in this event." Um, it's just crazy. Did you? What I was gonna say. I think in the JD Vance podcast, Joe Rogan and JD Vance, they were talking about the left wing, how it operates as a religion. It really is a religion, and I think JD was saying that it's in Christianity, it's a religion of forgiveness. You sin and you repent, you get forgiven, and versus in this cult-like religion, the LGBTQ, transgender, whatever this might be, it's a religion that if you do something to offend them, you're not going to get forgiven. They want you to, be sorry about it. Plus, on top of that, they want you to do more. But no matter how much you do more towards that religion, it'll never be enough. And it is just crazy, and that's literally what's happening with all these corporations too, like Apple, Microsoft, Google. They're very, very, very careful in regards to offending these people, and that's why they're the first one to jump on this bandwagon of like, oh, it's the Pride Month, the BLM stuff. They're the first one. I remember when
Virtual signaling,
yeah,
they got to push out like, hey, I'm holier than thou.
Right.
Look
I
at me,
remember
I'm perfect.
what was that case? I'm forgetting the name of that kid. Remember the kid who went out and he was protecting some of the businesses from the rioters?
Kyle Rittenhouse.
Kyle Rittenhouse. So I was in college.
You said kid going out to protect the businesses. Oh yeah.
Well, yeah. So that's what he was doing.
Can only be him.
Yeah, there's only him. There's only one. So I was in college when the case was going in the code, and they were, it was live streamed everywhere. I was going to University of San Francisco, and I remember watching the whole case. And even if you're somebody who go and watch the case and you're non-biased, you would take the kid's side, like what he did. He did it under self defense. You can watch it on a video. And the guy was the Rosenbaum, the pedophile. He was a pedophile, and all the left was defending these pedophiles who was trying to basically kill him, and in result, he killed him back in self-defense. So remember when the court and the jury made the decision in favor of Kyle, the very next day I got an email from my college, from University of San Francisco. I can speak on this now because I have a diploma from that school, and I'm no longer in that school, so they can basically go go to hell, whatever. Shouldn't be saying that, but it is what it is. I did not have fun in that college. It's a Catholic school, but with no Catholic values. They're
That's a
pushing
crazy
Marxist
concept to
ideologies.
understand. That's a crazy
But
concept to understand.
yeah, I got an email from that college, and that email was literally about. I probably can still pull up the email. It was saying, "Oh, the judge and the jury ruled in the favor of Kyle Rittenhouse, which was very disappointing. So if you need mental health counseling because they favored Kyle because he killed a pedophile in self-defense, you can get free mental health services from the college. And if kids need day off, it
So
just
if you
like
could, I mean, I mean, that's pretty fucked up. But also,
yeah,
it's kind of like the same loophole background that most of these corporations have with like people that use drugs, right? They'll let you, like even if they know someone's using drugs until someone's like, oh, we're gonna fire this dude, right? Because he's a drug user of whatever sort. Okay, he can literally just come in that morning. He's gonna get fired before they talk to him and
yeah,
say, "Hey guys, I'm a drug addict. I need help." All right, and now you have
yeah,
just fucked that company over so hard because now they are responsible and liable for you to get clean.
yeah,
They have to send you to therapy. They have to send you to this. They have to send you to that. They can't take away your job. They can't hire somebody else to do your job while you're going through this bullshit. You know what I mean?
What's
Without
funny you
the
mentioned that 'cause it's actually this. It's the same way in the military too. In the military, they have random drug testing, and if they catch you, you're gonna get kicked out, right? It's not an honorable discharge. It is, I believe, either a general discharge or other than honorable discharge if they catch you. However, if if you do drugs and if you're afraid of or you find it, the drug testing are random and secret, but let's just say you find out like, oh, they're gonna drug test somebody, people in the morning, right? And right before the drug test, you show up in your commander's office like, hey, I have a problem. I have a drug problem. Now they cannot kick you out. They do have to give you all those services in the military, and they have to help you. So it's funny you mentioned that it's the same way in the military.
yeah, uh, it's kind of like like they mirror shit. Well, not even mirror shit. They sort of just rhyme shit off of each other. For
Yeah,
policies across the board. Uh, which whoever did that shit had to be like the one at the top that was using the drugs, right? Because they're like, man, I'm not gonna ever get in trouble with this unless I get into an accident. If I get into an accident, I need to be able to cover myself, right? I need to be able to protect myself with liabilities. So if we put this back door in here, technically we could fire more people before they claim, file a claim, and hopefully the ratio numbers right, and that totally backfired on them. You know what I mean? Like that completely backfired on them to the fact that now we have these huge problems, these epidemics, a bunch of people on payrolls that shouldn't be on payrolls, a bunch of people that use that system just to manipulate it to then continue to use drugs. Right? You see this all the
yeah,
time with different people going back to rehab 5, 6, 10 times, you
yeah.
know, in their lifetime.
I
Okay,
know. It's so
for
sad.
everything because they literally are like, "Oh, I'm gonna drink until I get fired." Okay, well, as soon as they're gonna fire me, I'm like, "I need help. I'm an alcoholic."
Yeah,
All right, so then you spend 2 months in a rehab facility getting clean. You come out, you work great for 6 months. Okay, then you start sneaking the drinks, and you get back into drinking, and next thing you know, they're about to fire you again. You're like, "Oh, you guys know I'm an alcoholic. I had a relapse. I need to
yeah,
go back." I need to
yeah,
go back. Okay, so now how many times can you pull that before it's like, bro, you're fired?
yeah.
That's like a real question. I have no idea. you know, but I'm sure that I can't be the only one that just thought of this shit on the fucking top of my head. You know what I mean? Like there has to be people out here that legitimately functioning alcoholics, functioning potheads, functioning cokeheads, functioning people that are doing drugs, you know,
Right.
meth, hair. I mean, I don't know what kind of drugs you can do before you can't be functioning because I've never done really hard drugs in my life. You know, I smoked
I
some
don't
weed,
know. Maybe
drank a
I'm
little bit,
guessing.
you know.
I feel like if you start getting to methamphetamine, if you start doing crack, meth,
Yeah, but I don't
fentanyl.
know. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of people that say that they've done that shit and they're like functioning adults. You would never even know. Like the My Pillow guy.
Yeah,
Okay, he's a fucking billionaire. Okay,
yeah,
he functioned for like 10 years of his life fucking on cocaine, and he comes out and says this shit. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like so, like who would have fucking known? Like you have your suspicions, right? Because you're like that dude is fucking crazy.
It's
Okay,
kind of
that
like
dude.
most of the a lot of the tech CEOs, and all of them are on Adderall. In a way, they're all drug addicts too, but
And when does
Adderall's.
Adderall? Because it didn't Adderall just used to be speed.
It used to be, I think so. I think that's what it was. And that's why an Adderall is just like a much lower dose of basically speed. That's why all these big tech CEOs take it because it kind of gives them the pump to basically keep going. So it's kind of like they want the effects of cocaine, but don't want the reputation of cocaine. So they just take Adderall, and it's also legal. So they don't have to face any consequences if they get caught, and the reputation of the company. Versus Adderall, just they can just get prescribed from, I don't know, any doctor, and it they can claim mental health or whatever things that, and it just looks good now. Um, yeah, yeah. What do you So from the Donald Trump's podcast with Joe Rogan, what are your takeaways from it? I guess, what did you like about it, and what would you do differently if you had to do that podcast with him?
Nothing, man. Joe Rogan's the goat.
He is. He
You
really
know
is
what I mean?
goat.
Like, you can't really make it better. You can't make JD Vance's podcast better. I think if anything, a good podcaster brings out uh, the person they're interviewing, right? You get to see an authentic person, authentic people talking out shit like you and me, right?
Yeah.
Having an authentic conversation. You know, we agree on some shit, you know, and we were just like, well, how much more do we agree on? What can we disagree on? You know, let's
Yeah.
get down to the meat and potatoes and let's discuss current events and different things that are happening from two obviously way different cultural raises from our backgrounds and
Yeah.
childhood, right? And now we're both in our 30s and we're like, yo, let's talk and see what we can agree on, you know, around the
Right.
world. And
Right.
I think that when you look back and people watch these Joe Rogan and the JD Vance interviews, I think what you're going to see is that these were like some of the most authentic interviews ever done. Okay,
I agree.
and it was because he made them personal, right? It had nothing to do with really talking politics or policies or, you know, like they did bring up some of it, right? But it was
Yeah.
like, how's the personal life? How's the family? How do you deal with this? What are some cool stories? You know, what did you guys do last summer? You know,
Yeah.
how was your parents? How are your grandparents? You know what I mean? Kind of a conversation of getting to know somebody at a more intimate level than what are your policies?
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things Joe Rogan talked about why podcasts are really working really well, and why people enjoy watching podcasts versus a news media interviews. They're just That's not how you would talk to a person in real life. In news media, even like the Brett Baer interview with Kamala. Um, it's not even, he was very fair with her, but that's not how you normally talk if you're having a conversation with another
No,
person.
that's more of like if you get arrested and you go to the fucking police station,
Right,
okay,
exactly,
and they start
exactly.
questioning you on a suspect or a suspicion of a matter, right? Doesn't even have to be a crime, okay? So,
Exactly. That's exactly right. Yeah.
you could come in as a witness to a crime, okay?
Yeah.
And they would ask you the same shit in the same style and the same phrasing, okay, that they would ask a suspect, okay?
Interrogation style,
An
yeah. Like they
interrogation
only have
style.
30 minutes with this guy, so let's ask as many.
Every answer needs to be 5 minutes long, right?
Yeah.
Or less, 3 minutes long. You get 30 seconds to respond at the end of this segment, right?
Yeah.
That's not a fucking conversation, bro. That's not an
And nothing
interview.
too, not
So
every
like
answer
our shit
is
is the
black and
perfect
white.
example of this, right? We plan to do like an hour, okay, and then every one of our shows goes into three
Two
hours.
and a
And we're
half
like, all right, bro,
hours. Yeah.
we just gotta stop talking, bro, because you and me could talk for hours, bro. Like
We can talk
I
about
could
everything.
see us,
Yeah.
like back in the day, you'd be that dude that like my grandparents and stuff did this all the time where people would come over in the morning, right? And they would have a cup of coffee and they would just talk,
Yeah.
and then my dad would do that with his friends now. Well, he just goes over to their house, so they come over to the house, right? And then they just fucking talk. Doesn't
Right.
even about what. It's just like, did you hear this? Let's have a conversation. Oh no, you're wrong on this. Like you gotta look
Right.
up, like that. Just that banter, right? You don't get that anymore because no one's leaving their house to come over and visit us. And
Nobody's
so
leaving their house.
only way you
And
can
they
get
have,
is right here.
I think mainstream media, and they have made a basic conversation between one neighbor to another if they don't agree with each other like an enemy, right?
Mhm.
And I would personally would obviously, one side would do it more than the other, but I honestly would just blame every mainstream media outlet and even the politicians on the both uh, aisles, political aisles of spectrum. They have not done a great job in
No.
inviting people on the both side of the aisle, like, hey, let's just have a conversation with one another. Like, I believe that most supporters who are voting Kamala Harris, and also the most of the supporters that are voting for Trump, they're just generally good American hardworking people. Um, and of course there's like few 1% on both side that are just very misinformed and disinformed and just pushing most of the either the far right or the far left rhetoric on the internet, and that's all we see on the internet, and the media amplifies this and put it on steroid and push it in all these echo chambers throughout America, to the point that just a just a normal dude who have maybe little bit of different views and lean more towards the left and you lean more towards the right don't even want to have a conversation with the other person, because now they both think that the other person is radical in their
There's no
views.
compromise. There's no middle ground. Even though if we
Exactly.
were to talk and actually
Exactly.
have a conversation and you ignored my politics and I ignored your politics, I guarantee you there's some shit that we could change each other's minds on. Well, I
Yeah.
guess not. Depends on the facts you bring, right? Because I'm
Yeah.
pretty factually based person on finding the actual evidence and the rulings and then making my own interpretation of it.
Yeah.
But if you could bring me out and say, all right, we're gonna make a difference here, we're gonna do a difference here, and then I'm like, well, what are you doing? They're like, well, we're gonna save all the trees by, like what? Like, we're gonna cut down all the forests, so that way we can have cleaner air. Like what? Like
Right.
we're gonna go throw oil painting on paint
Yeah.
to like what? Like none of that fucking makes a difference. You know what I
It
mean?
does.
Like, it has no common sense, no logical backing. It's all completely indoctrination on your part of being bamboozled and brainwashed, and you paid for it. So at the
Yeah,
end
and
of
I,
the
I
day,
think also too what we see in the media, what do you see all these celebrities pushing? What you see is black and white answers, which is never the right answers. Like, there's so much context in both of those that nobody explained anything to anybody. Like, what's Kamala pushing right now? Trump's going to take your reproductive rights away.
Which is a
He's
complete
not
lie.
doing
They
that.
used it on everything, though. We got a banner, like a fucking poster card in the mail the other day. It was like this size, bro, that they sent us in ranked choice voting, right, to repeal it. And when you opened it up, it was like, they're taking your abortion rights away with
Oh
ranked choice.
my.
Like, what the man? What the stretch? Like, everything ties back to this stupid ass fucking argument with abortion, bro.
Right.
And it's like, makes no sense because the people that are talking this shit don't have a clue about what the states have already ruled as law.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
The extending circumstances that every state has put in for the exception to the rule, right?
Right.
There's not a fucking state that says that, okay, like they ban abortion, okay, in some states. Okay?
There's no state that's
There's
banning
no,
abortion.
uh, uh, well, let's say like some of the states have like a really low abortion, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 5 weeks, right? Or no abortion, right? Period in the state.
So
Okay.
in New York, you can get abortion all the way.
Yeah, but I'm not
to-
talking about that. Okay, I'm talking about like the states that have no abortion. Okay, that the states that you'd have to travel state lines across. Okay, that they tell you if you want an abortion. Okay,
What states are those?
I can't to name off the top of my head, but I want to say it's like Oklahoma, Arkansas, Alabama or some shit. You know what I mean?
So
Where
in
it's like,
So in Alabama, like you cannot have abortion
yeah,
after
there are
3
some states
weeks.
that have 100% no abortion law. Okay, like you can't
Is
have
that
an
really true though? Because I was
But
there was
listen,
a
this is what I'm telling you. This is the problem with that whole argument, okay, that you're
yeah
having right now. Is the states that don't want abortion, okay, and the states that do want abortion, okay, are all arguing the same fucking argument, okay? It doesn't matter, okay, on what the pro-abortion state says, okay, and it doesn't matter what the anti-abortion state says. Okay, if we have
yeah
two states that are completely different, and one is ban all abortions, okay, and one is abortions after birth, okay, it doesn't matter because there are laws on the books in every 50 states, okay, that already have the exception to the rule. So even if you lived in a completely pro-abortion, you can't ever kill a baby state, okay? There's laws on the book that protect the fucking mother. The doctors have the ability to have the exception to the rule in the case of saving the mother or the baby's life, right? To
yeah
do
yeah
extraordinary methods, right? Which would be to save that shit, right? Also
right
on the rule books is that for every state they have rules already in place for incest, rape, and shit like that. Okay.
right
So when they tell you that you can't get an abortion in a state that doesn't allow abortions because of this, that's fucking bullshit because it's already
right
in 90% of the cases already on a book on the laws that says that there's an exception to the rule. And we've all
yeah.
learned that. For every fucking rule, there's an exception. All right. But
There's
you're
an
telling me
exception to
that this is the rule and there are no exceptions is complete fallacy. It's
yeah
completely a false statement to make,
right.
right? Even in Alaska, we could kill a baby up to after birth up here, right? Yeah, it's fucking crazy, bro. We don't have an
Oh
abortion
my god.
limit thing up here, bro. And it doesn't matter because at any given time up here, all right, they can choose to do whatever they want, right?
Yeah
But in
yeah
case of rape or incest, we've already had stuff on the books before the Roe v. Wade thing came back on the thing that's saying that doctors and circumcision, dire fuck, it's the word I'm trying to use. It's situational circumstances, okay,
yeah
during rape and incest, okay, that you can abort your baby, right? And that's across every state. So all these laws that are for, against, pro, anti, whatever, are just adding more laws onto the books that are already on the
they're
books,
already in the books. Yeah
right? So if we
yeah
have a separations of three powers, okay, one is legislation, one is the like Congress, the president, and the courts,
yeah
right? And so every state has the same thing. You have a governor, right? You have a legislation, and you got a court, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when the court has already decided something, okay, now it's out of the hands of the governor and out of the hands of the legislation.
The legislation,
Okay.
yeah.
And when Trump took it and gave it back to the states and gave it back to the courts, okay, now it's up to the courts to decide, not the legislation, not the people to vote on, not the governor, okay? It's already been decided, been passed by the courts, and that's it. Okay? If you got
Right.
problems with it, take it back to court. Okay, it has nothing to do with writing legislation or getting your governors or your legislation to compete and
Yeah.
do this. It's already on the books. So when these Republicans and these Democrats just throw these lies like they're gonna ban abortion, no, they fucking this is the legislation we're talking about.
Right.
Okay, this is
Right.
one of the three branches of power. Okay, and you guys are petitioning and barking up the wrong trees if you think that any of these men have the power to do anything about any of this shit that's in the realm of the court system.
Yeah.
One balance of power, one check.
Yeah.
Okay, out of three. These guys cannot impose, take away, or in process on each other.
Any of these. But I think this is where, because Democrats, their lies and their best friend mainstream media, it amplifies those lies, and people believe them, and based off of those lies, they're gonna go out and vote. Um, it's very insane to me. I really love the conversation JD Vance and Joe Rogan had about the abortion, pro-choice, and pro-life. I think they had a really good conversation. I 100% agree with both of them, and they both were agreeing with him, with each other. I mean,
Yeah, 100%.
it was just like he, JD Vance, he's a vice presidential candidate. His answers was just beautiful. What he said about the whole abortion situation. But yeah, yeah. Do you think there's still a chance that Kamala will do Joe Rogan podcast?
No, not at all. I think that time went, came, gone, passed her up, she left. I think that
We got one
I
day
have nothing
left. That's
else.
it.
I
We
don't think
got
there's
one day
anything else
left.
to do.
Yeah, there's no. Who do you think? Maybe it already happened today, or maybe Joe Rogan's going to pull another wild card and do another podcast tomorrow. Do you think that's a possibility? He might do another Joe Rogan, do another Trump podcast.
No, I don't see that at all. I think Trump is. I'm not sure where he's at today, but I'm guaranteeing he's in some
He's
swing
in
state.
North Carolina right now.
Yeah, North Carolina, Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
I think that's where you're at. I think you go fight those last two states, and then you just take Sunday off, bro, and take Monday off, and just plan on your shit. You know what I mean? You do some.
yeah,
I think that you've already made up or did or supported and changed or talked to. I think it's up to us. I don't think it's up to Trump anymore. I think it's up to the actual people that are around to talk to other people about, did you
yeah,
go vote? Okay, did you go vote? Everybody should be like, I call out people at the gas station. You go vote. If you
yeah,
didn't, go vote. Go vote. Go stand in line. Go vote. And then you pull up the commie detector. Okay.
hmm
And you walk around, you can be like, that guy's a commie.
yeah.
You could just pull the Karens in out so quick just by wearing the felon
Right,
hat,
right.
the mugshot hat.
Funny you mentioned that. I got into not necessarily like an argument. We were just like talking. I wanted to, because I was just talking to my wife. I'm like, man, a lot of my friends, they've been complaining the last 4 years, about the economy and this, but they need to go out and vote. I know they're busy. They need to go out and vote, right? And I'm like, I'm gonna text them, like, dude, go vote, okay? And I'm gonna tell them who I'm voting for. They can vote for whoever they want. I'm gonna tell them, hey, go out and vote for Trump, or go vote whoever they want. Well, I was like, no, you can't do that. That's not social etiquette. And I'm like, they're my friends. I obviously would not tell that to any other person. They like me who I am now because they're my friends, and it's okay if we have disagreement. I don't care who they vote for. I'm just gonna tell them. If my buddy tells me like, hey, vote for Kamala, I'm like, I'm not gonna vote for her, but sure, you know. Same thing. I'm gonna
I'm gonna
tell my
want to
buddies,
know
hey,
why,
go
bro.
out and vote. Huh?
I'm gonna want to know why. If you told me to vote for Kamala, bro, like, okay, what's your favorite policy? You know, what's your
Right.
favorite? You know what I mean? I don't know.
I can talk about it, right? So I texted a bunch of my buddies, um, and one of my friend, he didn't really well, he didn't really like that I said that to him, and he texted me back something along the line where I'm friends with him because my wife's he's my wife's friend's husband. So that's how I became friends with him. So his response was just like he didn't really like that. So from that response, I can tell, yeah, he's definitely voting for Kamala. And I told him like that's okay. Basically, he was saying that you shouldn't push your political agendas on anybody. I'm like, hey, I totally agree with you. I'm not pushing any agendas on anything. This is just my view. You can do whatever you want. Me pushing my political agendas on anybody, what that looks like is 90% of the media is on one side, and every Hollywood celebrity, every SNL show that you see, that's all on one side, and they dedicate a whole month to celebrate something. That's all of that is pushing political agenda. I just said, hey,
Yeah,
go out and
100%.
vote. Go vote. Go vote. Go vote Trump. Me saying vote for Trump, it's not me pushing political agendas. What pushing political agenda looks like is you amplifying all these lies and pushing that Trump is Hitler, and then times that with hundreds and thousands of TV screens and radios and
Or
Hollywood
that Kamala's
celebrities.
not for wars and loves oil and
Right.
like that shit is just straight up gaslighting, bro.
Yeah.
And and,
I'm
and
gonna send you a screenshot of what he said. You're gonna love. But yeah, you're right.
that's just straight gaslighting, bro. Like, and at that point, this is what I tell people. Okay, it's not like you and me are out here. We need to go change these super voters. Okay, whether you're on the left side or on the right side, bro. Okay, it doesn't fucking
Yeah.
matter. Okay, our job isn't to change the super voters' minds. These Democrat, these woke fucking crazy people, right? It's not our job to change their minds. Okay, it's our jobs to talk to people like you and me. Okay, that are I can't even say like I'm Republican. We've had this conversation,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But as an independent, undecided, I'm looking at the last 4 years. I'm looking at what's beneficial in my life, what's beneficial to everybody else's life, the spending power of the U.S. dollar, the debt we're going into, the future of being able to my children's children to be able to provide and
Yeah.
grow in the country, right, is at risk. So I'm looking at it like, all right, I need to talk to all the people that aren't voting. The 30 to 40% of people, the undecideds, the independents that haven't quite made up
Yeah.
their mind, that aren't going to early vote, that are waiting for election day, that still haven't
Yeah.
crossed the Rubicon on what side they want to do. They're fence sitting hard, and those are the people that we need to talk to and reach out and get our word
Yeah.
out and spread our message to. Those are the people that Trump's good. This is what Trump did. Trump brought up oil, energy, independence. That was the first time in history we were going to sell oil, sell energy. Never happened in America before,
Right.
right? He was getting the border shut down to where all these problems that we're having with illegals were getting paid for and solved for by other countries. So now, even
Yeah.
if we had a border problem where people are coming, we weren't paying on it anymore. Mexico was paying for it. Canada was
Yeah.
paying for that shit, right? People want to come in and say that his tariffs were bad. You know what I mean? But yet, look at the amount of money he put in our pockets. Okay, look how much
Yeah.
farther the dollar went. Okay,
Yeah.
so his economic deals had to be good. All right, let's talk about all the wars he stopped. Let's talk about the first president to go into two countries that have never really been dealt with before. Russia, China, North Korea. Nobody talks about that shit, bro.
Yeah.
All right, just the fact that this man stepped into North Korea.
It's pretty wild. I mean,
I mean,
that really funny you bring that up is I remember Trump was saying when the only time, or like the very first time when he got elected, and they were going into ceremony, and he was talking with Obama, and he asked Obama, "What's one problem you're dealing with?" And Obama has said that the biggest threat or the one problem dealing with it's with North Korea. And he came into the office and started doing research. And he asked why we have this problem, why this guy don't want to listen. So it turns out, I guess, Kim Jong Un, he wanted to have a lot of talks and discussions with Obama, but Obama had declined every single one of them. And then Trump was like, "Why are we not talking to him?" And then he came in. He was like, "Okay, I want to talk to this guy," which led to there's a big chance if Hillary would have won, we would have gone into war with North Korea.
I believe it.
And he came in and he was in North Korea. He was friends with him. It was just wild. And that's one of the arguments that, I just don't understand because liberals or the Democrats used to be the party of a party that did not wanted wars. And now all of a sudden they're
They
pro
can't get
wars.
it.
It just like so you're telling me all of a sudden all these people are voting for the people that are super pro wars and also basically saying yes, we agree on American people, American soldier dying in foreign soil, foreign lands. Not only that, we also agree with paying for these proxy wars where millions of Ukrainians or millions of other country people are dying. And also too, like we don't know what the consequences of those wars that are happening today are going to be like in like next, I don't know, 1 decade, 2, 3 decades.
Yeah.
How
What's
much
that warfare look
backlash
like?
we're going to get from those wars? How much backlash America is going to get? The backlash that our children are going to have to face
Can
for
we
the
even afford
proxy
this?
wars.
Is there enough food to go to war, bro? Like we can't feed
Yeah.
the world now. Okay, what makes you think
Right.
what happens when we stop, supporting each other with food, bro?
I
Okay,
know.
all right. Like at which point, America could take back our farmland. Just because it's like owned by other people doesn't mean that we can't just go grow our own shit there. You
Right.
we know how to clean the soil up. We know how to do all that. Unless they come up with this new shit that they're talking about how they're gonna artificially make the microbes in the soil, right?
What do you mean?
With the microbiology in the soil, they're,
Is it
they're
are you talking about the movement, Save Soil movement?
yeah, which is putting microbes, artificial microbes, into the soil and have them spread. Okay, which means
Yeah.
that at that given point, okay, like think of it like this. Okay, if you control the seeds with GMO processing right now, where they can only
Yeah.
grow in certain regions and the soil can't grow
Yeah.
any other corn than that
Yeah.
corn. Okay, because they've already geo-engineered the soil to only grow this
Yeah.
shit. Okay, so the only way to clean that shit up is literally run cannabis through all the fields because the cannabis will clean out the oils and turn it back into organic soil, clean
Okay.
soil within 3 years of running, cycles through it because
Yeah.
a healing property of cannabis to soil is crazy. So then you grow weed in these fields for 3 years, kill it, okay, and then grow whatever you fuck you wanted into these fields, right? But the problem is they won't let you grow weed, right, in these fields. So you can't clean these
Yeah.
soils and clean them up and change the shit. You're stuck on the GMOs that are in your district or in your county that you can buy on, right? Now imagine this. Imagine if they could come in with the micro soil thing and immediately change your soil. Okay, so then they could just
Yeah.
come in, spray your shit, and now you can grow lima beans. Now you can grow this. But then if you're not doing your shit or they don't want it, they come in and spray it. Boom, nothing grows. Right, and then they
Yeah.
come in and they spray it. Okay, only this plant grows. Only this plant grows. Only this plant grows. Like that shit is a horrible idea. I feel like this is one of those plans that wasn't thought out enough, and they're not going to be able to easily do this. And then at some point, they're going to get to a point where it's just like the soil says, "All right, well, we're just not growing anything." Okay, and then we're just going to spread this out across the entire planet. Okay, as these microorganisms kill everything in sight because they just want to thrive off of nothing and turn us into a desert wasteland because they killed off all the green life on the planet with these.
Yeah.
Right, that's my fear. My
You
fear.
know, it made me think of the movie Interstellar.
That's exactly where I fucking got that from, bro.
That's
They
so
fucked with
funny.
some shit, okay, and then I seen this shit coming out in real life, right? And I'm like, do do these people don't watch movies, okay? Because
Yeah.
I remember a movie in the 70s that talked about the same issue you're trying to mess with now, and that didn't end up too good for them. Okay, then I'm like, I'm thinking in the 80s, I watched this movie. This shit happened. I don't think it ended too well for them, And then I'm like, in the 90s, I'm watching this movie, whether like anything, right? Like from asteroids to floods to famines to giant
Aliens. So many
dinosaurs
things.
and aliens, bro. We put a movie on it, okay?
Yeah.
And then obviously these people never seen the movie because then someone's sitting in a dorm room like, bro, it'd be cool, bro, if we controlled the soil, man. Like what if we built some bugs, some tiny little bugs, and they just like replicated, and they their whole job was to making farms better, bro. Like we could just like totally like just make the planet grow super big, and then they're like in their lab doing these little beaker things, and then like the beaker falls over and it gets contaminated, fell into a plot of grass, and then this microorganism just started like browning out from there, bro, because it was like a super, you know, not ready for testing accident that
Right.
happened in someone's backyard. I mean, how many chemists and people like this is like I don't know this answer at all, but I'm just thinking these people that are fucking with these little things can't just be alone, right? How many wannabe like chemists or just smart hobbyist people built like a lab in their house, right? Because I was watching a video of them like going into someone's house that was messing with shit, dude, and it looked like the plastic walls, the fucking clean beaker room, and they're in there doing chemistry projects, okay,
I don't know.
patenting shit,
That's,
okay,
I
because
feel like that's something a
you
lot
could
of
buy a
people don't
virus
talk about.
offline right now and have it sent to your house to do microscopic studies and shit, right? And you don't have to be a genius to figure this shit out. You just got to know some shit. You know what I mean? So how many people are out there that know some shit that are like, oh, I could take this beaker over here with this fluid, with this shit, come over here, put it through a little spinny
Yeah.
thing, you know what I mean? And then bam, I made this fucking shit. And I don't even know what it is, but I made it.
Yeah.
How many people like
There's,
that?
what other thing made me think of that actually? Um, what is that one disease that a lot of Americans have? Lyme disease. Lyme disease. That's,
Get that from a tick, though.
yeah, right. So you get that from a tick. So I was watching, uh, I believe this person came on a Tucker Carlson podcast, right? I never much thought about Lyme disease, but one of the things I have noticed ever since I have moved to America, the amount of people I encounter these days who have Lyme disease, it's like a lot more. It's like I feel like I keep hearing more and more and more about it, right? And every person that I know that I've talked to who have Lyme disease, they have different um, symptoms and different ways how they suffer from this Lyme disease. So I was watching this podcast of Tucker Carlson, and I don't know if it's a lady or a man, but basically, this person is like expert on tick Lyme disease. I
Yep.
believe either in Alabama or Arkansas, right? There's a facility where they would do testings on tick, and it was known that facility was known for that. And during that time when the facility opened up and it was known for testing on ticks, all of a sudden, a lot of people in that region started getting this disease that nobody knew what it was. Eventually, they gave so many different names to this disease. Some call it as autoimmune disease, Lyme disease, and so many other things. But it just made me think of like, so you're telling me that Lyme disease exists because it was manufactured in a lab, kind of like COVID? That's another big rabbit hole we
That
could
is
go down.
crazy. Yeah, that's. I mean, that is another
Have
rabbit
you
hole.
heard about that before?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's just pretty wild to me. So you're telling me they manufactured Lyme disease in a lab and they experimented on the ticks, then they let them out loose in the wild.
Same thing with the mosquitoes, though, bro.
What do you mean? Explain that.
All right, so Bill Gates just put this shit to go combat, all these diseases. Okay,
Yeah.
right, and they put this shit in Florida. Okay, where they're coming after some certain let the mosquito bite you so you can have a virus protection.
Like malaria or dengue or
Yeah, and
something.
then what they say is that these mosquitoes just can't reproduce. Right, so they make millions and millions of mosquitoes in a lab. Okay,
Right.
that supposedly can't breed with other natural mosquitoes. Okay, then they just get put into the population, live for like a week, kill as much, vaccinate as much shit as they can. Okay, and then die off apparently.
Now, because every in the cycle of whatever Earth, every predator or an animal has a place. If we lose all the mosquitoes in the world, would there be any negative effects of those? Do you know?
I have no idea.
Let me see. I'm gonna look it up. It says yes, killing all mosquitoes will likely have negative ecological effects as they serve as the primary food source for animals like bats, birds, fish, and potentially disrupting food chains and impacting ecosystem stability if eradicating completely. Well, it makes sense why Bill
Well, I
Gates
mean, the
would
birds
want that.
can't do it. Okay,
Hmm?
the birds can't do it. Uh,
Yeah, because birds eat mosquitoes
yeah,
and
birds,
frogs eat mosquitoes.
frogs, right? Like, so how many? Okay. Oh, here it is, right here. All right, hold up. I need to come over here. Boom, go like this. Screen share.
Hi, I'm Scott O'Neill here in Medellin, Colombia today, and I'm at the world's biggest mosquito factory for the World Mosquito Program. We're making in here 30 million mosquitoes a week. Come have a look. We're doing it for a very serious reason. Cities like Medellin have suffered from diseases like dengue, Zika, chikungunya for decades, but not anymore. We've been able to bring the solution of Wolbachia mosquitoes to this city. When this bacteria called Wolbachia gets introduced into the mosquito, it stops their ability to transmit dengue. We release mosquitoes that have Wolbachia. Now they go and mate, and Wolbachia gets passed into the wild mosquito population. If we're going to control these diseases in all the tropical cities of the world, it's going to require a lot of mosquitoes. The mosquito life cycle starts with the egg.
So crazy.
And in this room, we've got a lot of eggs. Each one of these strips, these tiny black dots, are up to 10,000 mosquito eggs. Across all of these strips, about 1.5 million dried eggs waiting to hatch. In this tray, we've got the newly hatched eggs. They're little larvae, so small you can hardly see them. They're going to sit in here for a few days and eat and get bigger until they look like these ones over here. They're starting to turn into pupae. We're wanting to do the next step of sorting the males from the females. We want to do that so we can manipulate the sex ratio in the cages to be more female than male. The bottom ones along here are the boys, and the ones at the top are the girls. They're bigger. From here, they're going into the adult cages. We have adults that we continuously grow in what we call our brood stock. And then over here, we have the mass-produced mosquitoes getting ready to give us the eggs to go out directly into the field. It's crazy how they sound. You might wonder, what do we feed all these mosquitoes here? Well, I can tell you, we've got the good stuff in here. On the top shelf, literally, we've got the blood. They love it. Once the mosquitoes are grown, they're ready to go out into the field.
You know what's so funny? Of course, Bill Gates is known to have sinister motives always. And I think of this, what's happening, what they're doing to mosquitoes, doing to humans, to, lesser the human population. And Bill Gates, a tech billionaire, he's in our farmlands in America, he's in our food industry, and he wants us to eat all these
In our medical industry, doc.
in our medical industry. He's like a big he's very open about it. He wants to lesser the he wants to control human population. How you do it? You create vaccines, right? With those vaccine, it'll give men the problems that they can't. Their sperm is not even good enough to produce any more kids anymore, or you confuse children to become gay or transgender, giving them mutilation surgeries so they cannot produce that way. I don't know. This guy, Bill Gates, he's just. I feel like anything he touches, he has sinister motives and just human population control. Never trust him.
Yeah, I'm not really. I'm sure on that. Sorry, my producer was hitting me up. Might have to call this early. The lines are blowing up right now for early voting, and we're going to try to go get some more exit polls and
Okay.
and voting. Now we were out there earlier this morning, getting pictures and lines and trying to talk with people, but really everybody was sort of like not going to talk about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the majority of people that we could talk about are within the boundary of where you can't talk
Yeah.
politics. And I think that that's crazy how they make the boundary like big enough to circumference the parking lot. So you couldn't really talk to anybody anyways unless they came and talked to you down the street,
Yeah.
So right now we're just trying to get footage and, say hi to people, catch dudes out on the, holding the signs out on the road.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just go out and talk to them and get them up and shit. So.
What's your day look like Tuesday?
Tuesday, election day.
Yeah.
You could probably, if you're not doing shit, jump on some Twitter spaces with me.
Okay.
And I'll see if I can bring you up and you can talk because then we could just then you just jump in. I don't know if you've done Twitter spaces or if you've been doing that or used to, but I've been spending about 4 or 5 hours a day talking.
I haven't been doing them, but I would love to that day. The only thing I'm doing that day, I happen to have a day off, which is great. I love it. That day I volunteered.
And we could stream. If
We
you're
can
not doing
stream.
anything that day.
Yeah.
Earlier, during the show, not during like the end results because I'll be out filming some politicians at a celebration thing that night. But we could do is during the day at some point during Tuesday, we could get on and pull Louder and Crowder's mega stream up, and they're gonna have like the Quartering, Benny, like 100 different influencers are doing a collaboration.
Well, I think Joe Rogan's gonna do a live one too. He did it last 2020 election. I think he's gonna do a big one, and the even bigger one is going to be.
They're all linking up. You know what I mean? I think that the all these people that are going to do live broadcasts are all at some point going over to do something with the Louder and Crowder crew. Like
Interesting.
Louder and Crowder had the most views. Okay, last president election that they had to shut him off of YouTube. And even then, he still had more views, okay, than every other person watching, okay, just because of how they do their polling and shit. They literally have over 6,000 people live in all of these swing states, okay, that are going to be reporting on all of this shit across the United States. They got an app open to the public to drop in voter fraud, voter misinformation, different scandals that might be happening all night long. And so, if anything, I'm really going to tune into them so I can just see the live action of shit going down. But it would be cool to put them in and talk about some of the shit that they bring up in real
Yeah.
time. You know what I mean?
The other one I was gonna say, PBD podcast. He's doing one in a hangar that day, and he's gonna open up the hangar. Right behind the hangar, you'll see like planes land and everything. He was saying he's gonna have a lot of big, like, political people joining him that day. They're gonna have they're gonna pull like an all day, all nighter on a podcast. Try to stay
They
up
already
to like.
started Crowder's.
Oh,
Crowder's
really?
going next, 20 something days straight. They started it a week ago with getting early information in.
Where do
for-
you see that?
What, Louder and Crowder?
Yeah, is it on X? Like,
It's on their local. Like, I pay for Louder and Crowder, bro. I pay $85 a year to get all of their content.
that's not bad at all.
So if they're not running it on Rumble live right now, then they're probably getting ready to set it up here in the next, 24 hours of streaming live on Rumble for their free content, right? But some of these guys are just they do too much on the side, and everybody wants to call them bullshit. You know what I mean? That it's like, bro, like I'm gonna give Louder $85. I'm gonna give James O'Keefe $85. You know what I mean? Because these guys are dropping the real shit,
Right.
the stuff that's happening out.
Yeah, I donate to James O'Keefe. I've been donating for a while. Okay, that's fine.
But I'm
We
down for
can-
that. I'm down Tuesday. Let's do that. Let's pull up your guy. Let's pull up my guy, right?
Okay.
Let's watch him. We can switch off back and forth, right? Put it
Yeah.
on there, listen, pull up, pause it, talk about it. You know what I mean? As it comes up, and we could literally just hang out here while we're doing
That'd be
this
great.
live, right? And that's what I would say. I say we do this live on Rumble on Tuesday, right? Just pull it up here, have a conversation, pull up our little our little things that we're watching it, and then we
Right.
can start space on top of it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
At this point, we start an X Space on our phones. We're talking, hosting, doing our shit while we're going live, while we're fucking, just multi-stream some shit out and see what happens.
Okay. Sounds
We can only
good.
know if we try, and if we don't try, we'll never know.
We'll never know. Cool.
You know?
All right. What do you think then? Call it.
Let's do it. Let's do it Tuesday, and I'm gonna call it now because we got like 5 hours left. 5 o'clock. So we got 2 hours left of early voting for our last day of early voting, and
Okay.
I guess there's a line like fucking a mile down the road. So
All right. Cool. All right. Well,
and
we'll
then
see you
get your
guys.
video of your if you got put something together so I can watch your video of your voting experience, bro.
Oh, it was actually. Oh, actually, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna put something together.
Yeah.
Or
Edit
I'm gonna
the
make
shit,
two
put it
videos
out.
actually.
Yeah.
One of the vote biblically and what was my experience on voting. So I'll do that.
I love it.
Okay, cool. All right, Marcus, always nice having you. I will see you Tuesday.
Perfect. Yeah, just shoot me a time frame.
Okay, sounds good.
Do that up. So,
All right, cool.
All right,
Bye.
I'll catch you later.